So for the first 22 years of my life, I lived more or less like I had a big stick up my butt. My concern is that may describe you. That may be true for you. Whereas I've had the luxury of, for the past 8 years, experiencing an enormity of freedom. Just being able to express myself, being able to walk into a door, reside in a room, and feel totally at ease with myself. And the desire for that ease, for finding my freedom, for the equanimity, the tranquility that resided on the other side of my fears, of my big petty ego, of the big stick up my butt. The desire for that very much was derived from the discernible discontentment that plagued me, that haunted the first 22 years of my existence. And I've said this before, but if you gave me a magic wand and allowed me to confer just one thing for someone else on this planet, I really would just want them to be free, to be at ease with themselves, to be comfortable in their own skin. That's actually my greatest desire. So everything that I communicate to you henceforth in this video, on this channel, that really is just the modus operandi, right? I want you to feel comfortable in your own skin, able to express yourself, able to get more juice out of the squeeze of this life, and able to actually take a chance on you, on the highest, most actualized version of you. Jim Carrey, very profound man, in a 2014 commencement speech said, and I quote, or paraphrase, he said, "I learned many great things from my dad, not the least of which is that you can always fail doing something that you don't want. So why not take a chance on doing what you love?" And I would parlay that, I would extrapolate that out into begging the following question, which is that you can always fail or be rejected being someone that is inauthentic. So why not take a chance on being yourself? I suppose I could answer that question because, if you're not yourself, you got this audience and this song and dance, this performance that is masquerading. If you don't get the applause of the audience, maybe you get some Rotten Tomatoes thrown at you, some booze. This is your greatest fear, right? Rejection, being ostracized, being rendered a pariah. And if that were to happen, see, in your mind, you could just say, well, that was just a rehearsal. Just not the real thing, not the final act. Just a rehearsal, it's just a costume. It's not really me. And so I don't have to bear the burden of that rejection because I wasn't actually being myself. But see, the double-edged sword of that, the double-edged sword is that you're never actually going to be able to experience the joy of being authentic, because when you do get the applause, when you do get the standing O, when you do get the invitation for an encore, it's like, that's bullshit. That is total, utter bullshit. And you can never actually let that land. Because again, just a costume. You were wearing a mask. You were engaging in an inauthentic, disingenuous song and dance. And so, yeah, you may avoid the troughs, but you're never going to have the peak performance, the peak experience of life, of flow, of authenticity, of actual genuine connection. Because yeah, not everyone is going to like you in this life. You're not going to get the standing O, the applause, the invitation for an encore from everybody. But you never really wanted that, did you? You just wanted to actually connect with people who were genuinely worth connecting with. And that's what you really want. You want to garner love from those people, and you want to interface with them. You want to actually go down the rabbit hole with them. And yeah, that will be at the exclusion of others. But at least at the end of the day, you can say that you did you, man. Like, you were expressing yourself authentically. You threw away the mask and you were willing to step into the light. It actually gives you life. And the question is, how do you actually do that? Why didn't I do that for the first 22 years of my life? And to be fair, I was contending with the consequences of a very rare chronic inflammatory disease called eosinophilic esophagitis. And that monopolized a lot of my mental bandwidth because that inflammation not only made it difficult to actually swallow food, but it also resulted ostensibly in neuroinflammation and really stifled my ability to understand people, just to understand emotions and to be emotionally intelligent. And the consequences of that were dire and things that I wasn't even aware of. Just this idea that you don't know what you don't know. And I fear that that's the case for you too, is you don't actually know how sweet life is, how much freedom you could experience, the clouds that you could walk on, just the air that you could walk on, just having this this lighthearted energy. I want that so bad for you. I want that so bad for you because you've never even tasted it. You've never even peeked behind the curtain and got a sense of what that's like. Because if I were to pose the following question and you really took this idea seriously, what's the one thing that's never actually escaped you in your life? Like up until this point in time, ask yourself, for the last however many years that you've been alive, experiencing life in this finite human form, how often have you ever experienced no self? Right? Because that's the one thing that's never escaped you. So you've never bothered to question it. There's always been this divide between you and others. And that divide is destructive. Destructive. It's not allowing you to reach out to them, to see the humanity within them. And that aforementioned idea of finding your freedom, just this recurring idea that I come back to, this is my greatest wish. And so everything that I communicate is in an effort to actually get you to that promised land of finding your freedom. But unfortunately, there is going to be upheaval in between, in the interim. There is going to be discontentment. You are going to have to explore the edge of your comfort zone to actually find true freedom, to actually become comfortable in your own skin. You're going to have to dare to be a little bit different. You're going to have to do things that break social norms. You're going to have to actually stretch a little bit. And at the edge of that stretching zone that is otherwise comfortable, you're going to be a little bit uncomfortable, right? It's a little bit uncomfortable to actually, and I'm not flexible, but to do like a little hamstring stretch, right? It's like, oh, can I really touch my oh, there we go. Barely. I can barely touch my toes. Something I got to work on. But that's okay. And that's a microcosm for myriad other things that I need to work on because I am imperfect. I'm doing my best. I'm deeply flawed. And I'm utterly aware of that. But I'm willing to stare into the abyss of my own inadequacies. And the more closely, the more objectively that you're willing to look at yourself, the more rational results you're going to get. You're going to be able to push past the otherwise glass ceiling that is stifling your potential. I love you very much. Thanks for checking out today's video. Drop a comment down below. How free do you feel? How are you going to make 2024 the freest year of your life? Are you going to dare to be different? Are you going to dare to do things that you've never done because you realize that if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you have always gotten? We don't want that for you. I love you. I appreciate you. And until next time, my friend, find your